How you doing? This is Zach Allen. So this last week, Tiger Woods had a great final round at the Memorial where he was 7 under through 11 holes. And for a guy who really hardly ever shares anything personal about his golf swing or what he's working on, I've got some pretty good video here of him describing briefly what he's been working on, because he had a great ball striking round. He had hit every green and every fairway up to that point, and he really looks good going into the US Open. And also got just some quick footage of him actually doing it on the driving range. And I think it's something that we could all take note of and learn from, because I see it so often in many of my students. So let's go ahead and take a look.
I had it rolling through 12 holes today.
We were talking yesterday after your round about how you've made a couple of swing changes just to get that pressure off of your back. I was what you mean by that. We were just talking yesterday about like just getting into that right hip.
Yeah, it's trying to get this hip deeper, and then from there, keep the left hip deep as well, which puts the club more out in front of me. Instead of a lot of time when I'm feeling tight, I don't quite get deep enough loaded on my right hip, and I start standing up, which puts a lot of stress on my back. But if I don't feel like I can turn, I can't get back into my hip. Yeah. So it's kind of it all depends on how I've been training, how I feel, how I work, pre-round, and trying to get everything switched on. And while I'm able to do it, I can do what I did in April. Yeah. I just need to build.
So I thought that was very interesting. We really got a good glimpse at what he's been working on. And if you notice there, one thing that's so important to him hitting the ball well is not moving into this early extension position. You can see I've got my golf bag back here. It's something that I see so many of my students doing in the downswing because of the weight of the club just pulling their hips and causing them to thrust into the golf ball. And you see when that happens, all my pressure starts moving towards my toes, and I get what's called the Elvis, right? That's how Elvis used to dance. He used to get up on both toes. Everybody loved it. Not so great in golf though. So what he's describing there, he's referencing his backswing and getting into his right hip. And I do see some people with that issue, but more often than not, 90% of the time, the issue is with what's happening in the downswing, right? And it happens both ways. It happens from them getting like this and the club getting stuck in underneath. Sometimes they come over the top and then they start to stand up, so the club is above plane. But the net result, as far as this body track pressure mat is concerned, is the weight really moving out towards the toes. So like Tiger, what can we do? What drills can we do to try to better that position? So, last week I shared a backswing tip with you guys, and it's getting great responses thus far. But we did a drill in the backswing where we put the right foot back behind us, and it really gave us a better sense of how to extend and how to get left side bend into a really proper, fully coiled up backswing. So the tip this week, right, if we can kind of steal some of what Tiger's working on, is going to be a little bit of a reverse on the other side. What I'm having many of my students do is I'm having them hit balls in a staggered stance. And all staggered means is you set up normally, and then you just take your lead foot and you pull it about 5 to 6 inches behind you. Okay, so it's not an open stance, right? An open stance is me pointing left, it's just staggered, it's just back behind where it normally is. And right away, you can see here from down the line, my left glute already gets much closer to my clubs, right? Here's my normal stance, here's my staggered stance. And what I'd have you do here at first, once you get into the staggered stance, is try some practice swings and really get a feel like what Tiger's talking about there. As soon as I start to feel this position coming down, I feel a big stretch across my left glute, right? My lead hip side, and then I feel it into my left hamstring. So right away, you're gonna see how different that is from people pushing in this way, and I feel all that pressure moving towards my toes. Okay, that's exactly where we don't want it, because it's going to cause you to stand up, it's going to cause you to flip, it's going to cause the body to stall. There's going to be a lot of negative things that go along with it. So we get into that staggered stance, and you can see here as I'm standing on this pressure mat, right away as I start to feel this, my tray starts to move more towards my left heel rather than towards my toes. Okay? Big difference with this also is as I start to really get a good feeling for what those great players, what those great ball strikers feel, I feel it in my left glute, I feel it in my right side bend, increasing and staying down. I feel it in the extension in my arms. I feel it in how long the club is down and through for, and the face is really stable. So different from what's going on here, right? None of that stuff is happening. So after you take a few practice swings in that staggered stance, you get a little different sensation of what we actually should be doing with our left side. Go ahead and just hit some small shots, doing the same thing. And I can feel right away a little different sense of what's happening through the hitting area. I feel a lot more stretch and load into that left glute. That's the same feeling we want as we come through, okay? So you've done a few of those staggered, you start to go back to your normal stance, and now you're getting that same sensation of the left glute staying back, but just from a normal stance. And you're gonna see it's not really harder, it's just your foot being in a different position, okay? But I guarantee right away you can see how much that changes my pressure on the body track. No longer is it up this way, right? Doing the Elvis, right? Thrusting. It's staying back and down, just like what Tiger's describing.
So here's a good player. Hit the ball really far, but was struggling with hitting the ball left or right, and also the occasional shanks. And the first thing you'll notice here, I've got a line drawn on his rear, is as he starts his downswing, he's going to be pushing off that line real quickly, okay? And the pressure mat there, you're going to see the weight move diagonally towards his left toe to begin his downswing. And that's really a big no-no there. You can see he's getting really crowded, the body's standing up, and his hands and arms got to get very active in order to try to square that club face up. So we stole a little bit of what Tiger was doing, and we got into that staggered stance, and you can see him just rehearsing just a nice squat so he can actually really get into that left hip, right, or get some good left hip internal rotation. That makes a big difference in how we can actually get through the golf ball. So you're going to see a much better rotation through the ball and into his finish. And what the pressure mat sees, now you're going to see the weight move diagonally towards his left heel. A lot of that happening because we're in the staggered stance drill, but also it's happening because he can actually clear his left side and move his right side around and through properly without losing that pelvis angle, without early extending. So let's do a little bit of what the best player in the world is doing and see if that doesn't help our golf game.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed that tip. But if you're looking for more free lessons, I've got an email list that we put out every week with new lessons and tips that I promise will help your golf game. I've got thousands on it already that are already reaping and enjoying the benefits of free lessons on a weekly basis from me. So if you're interested in that, all you got to do is just sign up on this link here and put your email in, and you'll be getting my tips every week for free that I promise will help your golf game next time you go out to play.